Twice a year, my local library puts on a giant library book sale. So it's that time again. I got a huge stack of vintage sci-fi paperbacks and some hardcovers. Stick around to see what I got. So this is a big stack of books. It's a massive book haul. I'm going to try to go through these as quick as I can. So starting from the top, The Lies of Locke Lamora. This isn't sci-fi fantasy, but heard good things. Decided to go ahead and pick this one up. Next book we have is a Jack McDevitt, Infinity Beach. I don't know much about it, but it should be hard sci-fi. And this we have Harry Harrison's The Technicolor Time Machine. And I don't know anything about this, but I picked it up because, that's a really interesting looking cover there. It's like if the movie industry discovered time travel. Oh, that sounds like it could be fun. The next one is a Daw book, The Book of Paul Anderson. Sci-fi vintage paperback. Then we have a Keith Laumer, A Plague of Demons. And I picked this one up because of that cover. So most of these books, I got these either for $0.25 or 50 cents. So a lot of these I pick up purely because I think the cover artwork looks cool. And some of these I have no intention of ever reading. But, they're cheap. You can put them on display to look at the artwork. So I have these wire spinning racks that I like to put these on. You can see some of them way in the back here. These are all vintage sci-fi books on these racks, and I kind of put the books with my favorite covers on them. So that's kind of why I like collecting those. I do occasionally read them, but I can't read them all, so. The next one we have is an Andre Norton Daw, number 75, The Crystal Griffin. And I have quite a few Andre Norton books. I have never read Andre Norton. Let me know if Andre Norton is worth reading down in the comments. And then this one, these Stephen Baxter books are kind of hard to find, and I've been wanting to get this one, and I'm also still looking for Raft. So this is hard science fiction, part of his Zeely sequence. I've read Vacuum Diagrams. I have Time Like Infinity. I don't have Raft yet, but I would like to get Raft and read that one. But yeah, I like the artwork on this. This wouldn't consider this vintage sci-fi, but it's not modern either. So next book we have is Clifford D. Simak, Heritage of Stars. Another vintage sci-fi paperback. And then we have The Six Fingers of Time and 5 other science fiction novellas from Galaxy Magazine. So this is another vintage. And then I really like the cover art on this one. It's a Daw number 19. The Regiments of Night by Brian N. Ball. So yeah, that's a really interesting cover. A dead empire's vengeance can wait 1,000 years. Don't know if it's any good. A lot of these are not good books. But they like that. Certainly that's going to get displayed for sure. That's really cool. And this is a book that I already have. I have a hardcover copy of it, but I really like the artwork on this. Like it's kind of a cool look of it's got the spaceship and a castle. Paul Anderson's The High Crusade. And we have another Daw number 263, Brian M. Stableford's Wildeblood's Empire. And the next one, another Daw book, Daw number 353, and another Andre Norton. Wag Keep. Andre Norton, there's so many books from Andre Norton out there. She really published a ton of books. And I have quite a few of them, but yeah, I've never actually read one. I should probably do that soon. Let me know in the comments which Andre Norton book should I read. And another Clifford Simak, Special Deliverance. This one's got a robot on the cover, kind of like that. And then this one is a book I already have in a different edition, and I've already read this book. Really great book, but I've always wanted this DAW copy of it. C.J. Cherry's Down Below Station. Yeah, this is a really, really great science fiction book. But I've always wanted this copy with this artwork on it, so I was glad to pick that up. Next one is a Robert Silverberg, The Silent Invaders. You may notice me looking off in that direction. That's because my computer screen is right there. And I'm just looking to make sure the camera can see these books. Then we have an Alan Steele. I've never read an Alan Steele novel, but I have read a few of his short stories, and they're decent sometimes. I don't know how good his novels are. This one is a Labyrinth of Night. It's got looks like some kind of plane or spaceship or something with some pyramids going on. So it looks kind of interesting. Then we have one of the best of books, anthologies, the best of Lester Del Rey. And I have 4 or 5 of these best of books now, but they always have some good covers on them. And this one, I have never heard of this author, don't know anything about it, but really striking cover. Robert E. Vardaman's Masters of Space, The Stellar Death Plan. Has anyone ever heard of this one? Or the Masters of Space series. I think there's a number of books in that, written by different authors too. But yeah, that's a striking cover on that one. And then we have another Keith Laumer, Night of Delusions. Next up is Iron Tongue, another Robert E. Vardaman book. And yeah, I'd never heard of Robert Vardaman until this book sale. And this is actually number 4 in a series, but this cover is really striking as well, so I had to grab it. I hate spiders, but like that's kind of a creepy, some kind of a cyborg skeleton person in front of a giant spider. I mean, that's got to be an interesting story. And I looked this series up, and every book cover in this series is really interesting. So I hope to find more of those in the future. And then next we have Half Past Human by T.J. Bass. And he has another book which is, I think, kind of a sequel to this, but I may be able to. It may be able to be read standalone. I don't know, but it's called The God Whale, which also has this really cool cover of a whale, like a cyborg whale. And another fantasy one. This was one that I was missing. Stephen R. Donaldson, The Ill Earth War. That was book 2. I have book 1 and 3. And now, let's get into some hardcovers. So this is an anthology by Robert Silverberg, edited by Robert Silverberg, called Between Worlds. And it's got stories from Stephen Baxter, Nancy Kress, Mike Resnick, James Patrick Kelly, Walter John Williams. So it's kind of exploring the science fiction between planets and things like that. And then we have a book by James P. Hogan. This is the sequel to The Code of the Life Maker, which I already have. The Immortality Option, but since I already had that first book, I figured I'd go ahead and pick up the sequel. So I've only read one James B. Hogan book, Inherit the Stars, and it was a good book. It's hard sci-fi. And this is a trade paperback, fairly newer release, Planetfall by Emma Newman. That was on my radar. And then I got the trade paperback of Roadside Picnic, which this is a classic science fiction. This edition is not vintage, but I've been wanting to read this book for a while. So I was glad to at least pick up some edition of it, although I'd rather have a more vintage edition. And next up, we have a Stephen Baxter Manifold Origin. And I believe this is the third book in his Manifold series. And then I grabbed a Culture hardcover, Ian and Banks Surface Detail. The only thing I don't like is at the bottom it has like the stamp for the library, which I normally don't care for books that have like the library stamps on them and whatnot. But it's just on the bottom, so I figured I'd go ahead and pick this one up. And it was only cost me $1.50. And then I found this really nice copy of the collected short stories of Greg Bear. And it's got quite a few of his stories in there. I do like Greg Bear, another hard science fiction author. So that was a good find. It's a nice copy. And last, we have William Gibson's Eateroo. So this is a sequel to Virtual Light, cyberpunk novel. Then I did also pick up an Alistair Reynolds novel. I bought this online, so I didn't get it in the library sale, but figured I'd include it in this book haul. And it is Poseidon's Wake. And this is the third book in his trilogy that starts with Blue Remembered Earth. And I have recently read Blue Remember Earth. It's a really good novel. One of Reynolds' more underrated novels. I don't see it talked about very often, but I really enjoyed it. So I'm kind of eager to get on and read the rest of that trilogy. So wanted to finish off and get the third book in that. All right, that's it. I tried to get through those quickly, so this wouldn't end up being a super long video. So let me know in the comments. Do you have any of these books? Are you a book collector? Do you have tons and tons of books in your collection that you have no real intention of ever actually reading? Or maybe that you do intend on reading them, you just don't have the time for it. So let me know. Are you a book collector? What have you collected recently? Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. See you next time.